To order on March 14th, 2017. City Clerk, roll call, please.
Commissioner Abraham,
Present.
Commissioner Holland,
Here.
Commissioner Rhodes,
Here.
Commissioner Wilson,
Present.
Mayor Harless.
Present. Commissioner Abraham, would you lead us in the invocation, please?
I will. Our Father which art in heaven, we thank you so much for today. We thank you so much for your promises. You haven't broken one yet. So, Father, we ask as we move forward in this meeting that our motives are pure. Help us to realize that the decisions we make here affect so many lives here within our city. These things we ask in Yeshua's name. Amen.
If you'll stay standing, we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to its republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. City Manager, are there any additions or deletions to the agenda?
There are none, Madam Mayor.
And before we have our presentation from the Human Rights Commission and Dr. Belt, Police Chief Barnhill, would you mind coming up and introducing some new officers to us, please?
Mayor and Commission, thank you. As in keeping with tradition, we'd like to bring up the newest officers or newest additions to the department to let you all get a face to the name that you have seen and already approved, obviously. I'm going to talk a little bit slower because the other one is finishing a call on his way here. So I thought if I talked slow, then maybe we can get him here in time. I'll start with the first one that's here with me, Mitchell Townsend, 27 years old, from Clay, Kentucky. He was a member of the United States Air Force in 2010. He most recently came to us from the Webster County Sheriff's Department in Dixon, Kentucky. Mr. Townsend is here with his wife, Lacey, which is in the back over there, and they currently do not have any children. There's not a whole lot of bio that I can slow down on, so I'm going to go ahead and read the other one.
I know the mayor of Dixon, by the way,
Uh-oh.
Carolyn Townsend. Yes, she's a friend of mine from the Delta Regional Authority, actually. So welcome. We're happy to have you. Yeah.
The second individual, whenever he gets here, I'll just have him stand up and you can acknowledge who he is, I guess. But is Adam Weinberger, excuse me, 31 years old, from Benton. He's a graduate of Marshall County High School. He was in the United States Navy for 10 years, from August 05 to February of 15. Most recently, Mr. Weinberger was an employee of the Murray Police Department as a patrol officer. He is married with his wife, Andrea, and they have two daughters, ages 7 and 4. Thank you all, and I just wanted to introduce your newest employees.
Thank you very much. Okay, I'd like to call Dr. Bernice Belt up to give a presentation on the Human Rights Commission.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Mayor. I won't be up here long. I'll just be strong, like Daddy used to say. Is that all right?
That's right.
Well, since I asked to be on the agenda, we've been working on a couple of things I think that will please you and the commission. Always, good transitions always please leaders. As you know, and Mayor, as you've come to know, up until the end of last year, I took care of all administration, which means I served as the executive director indeed, and chaired the board. And up until Ms. McCabe came along and became such a good office manager, I also basically ran the office. Well, thank goodness that changed. And so we are in the process of transitioning Gary Reese, who is the chair, and I as executive director. And Mr. Russell and I were laughing about something on another topic about this whole thing about transition. It takes a moment. And but in our case, it's not taking as long as I had anticipated. So we're working on me moving back from conducting the investigations, and the board conducts the investigations as I did when I was chair. And so I'm transitioning away from that as in the role of executive director. And I'm sharing that to all of you and then to citizens as well, because I've been asked a lot of questions lately from people out in the community, and I just wanted to make sure that that was clear. And also, a couple of years ago, the Kentucky Commission on Human Rights contacted me to host a training here in Paducah, Kentucky, and we did. And that particular training was on the Fair Housing Act and some of the other adjustments and amendments to that law. And so we held it at WKCTC at the Emerging Technology Building. It was very successful. I suppose that the Kentucky Commission on Human Rights will probably ask us to host here in Paducah again. They enjoyed it. But in the meantime, we're looking at transitional training for the board, enhanced training for the board, and also for new commissioners, and then looking at ways of actually creating another training packet that will be a little bit better than the one I presented in January of 2012. And those trainings will include discrimination claims and investigations, as well as EEOC laws and how the state of Kentucky handles claims and all of those things, because I think that will enhance the leadership of our board members. Also, that training will be open to the entire public. And so, Mayor, you may have people you want to attend, and there may be other organizations and entities that might want to come to that training. And some of the topics that will be covered are how to file a discrimination complaint with the Office of Civil Rights, how the Office of Civil Rights handles complaints, intimidation, harassment, bullying, retaliation, applicable laws, Americans with Disabilities Act, Age Discrimination in Employment, Equal Pay Act, and all of those things. And there are about 17 specific topics that include basic filing systems and security of files. And so there's a lot of extra work to do. Some laws, some KRS statutes have changed a bit, but the basic content of them are the same. But we have an obligation to you and this city commission and our citizens to make sure that we are caught up on the training. So we'll be working on that as we go along. The other thing is at the April meeting, we're probably going to be looking at some things in our ordinance, because it's kind of an old ordinance, and there are probably about 4 or 5 things that need to be either changed or enhanced. And so that's going to be up to the board to do with some recommendations for me, just based on my experience and expertise over the years. But those, of course, will come before you and city management and a city manager and this team right here. It will probably be about 1 or 2 hearings before we can get to it. They are very simple and very straightforward and very easy. Now, I want to, I want to thank y'all for this time. The other thing, and the final thing I want to talk about, are our 2 annual events. March the 23rd is our evening of performance that for the last couple of years has been held in May. But we listened to a lot of citizens and a lot of people who have enjoyed our events, and they have suggested that we change the date and move it up a little bit earlier in the year. And so, as a board, as a team, we agreed upon March, and we chose March to 23rd. This time, though, it is the evening of discussion, Youth Lead, and it's called Youth Lead instead of Youth Led, because we don't want it to be past tense. We want it to be ongoing as we bring on more student interns as the others graduate from high school. And so the emphasis or the tag subject will be removing barriers for success. So that's on March the 23rd. It's a Thursday. Our doors will open at 5:15. The event will last 6 to 8 at Robert Cherry Civic Center. It's free, open to all peace-loving folk who love our young people. Door prizes and youth entertainment from Paducah High School, catered by Artisan Kitchen. We have 13 panelists. 2 of them are students, one from Paducah Tillman and one from McCracken County High School. And then we have principals and the chief of police, and we have director of Oscar Cross Boys and Girls Club, guidance counselors, pastor, psychologist. And so we have a number of people who, in their own right, have all the expertise that they need in order to answer the questions that we have formulated, and then we provide for them at least a week in advance, all about removing barriers for success. We have 9 vendors, information vendors, and I'm proud to tell you all, I know you'll be proud of this, that the student interns did a lot of the planning and coordinating with us, making sure that as grown folk, we've got their back and we help them to stay and keep things intact. And then in April, on the 20th, will be our 20th annual Fair Housing Luncheon at 11:30 to 12:30. It will be catered by Artisan Kitchen. It will be set up in the lobby, the front lobby of this building. And in the atrium, we will have a short program, during which time the annual Fair Housing Award will be presented. And Mayor, thank you for making sure, you and Lindsay, for making sure we had our joint proclamations for each of the events. People like that. They really like that. And so we want to remind you, and we'll get Lindsay to do it too, to remind you where to be and what time so that you can read the proclamations. I would like to ask real deep in my heart to ask everyone who has not come to these events to please do so. It's very difficult to convince our young people that the community cares about them when we have events that are designed to help build them up and not tear them down, but they don't see the adults show up. And so I would like to ask citizens of Paducah and McCracken County surrounding areas and all of you, please come and hang out with the youth and be as proud of them as we are. Thank you so much. Any questions? Any concerns?
Anyone have anything? No? Thank you for being here. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
All right, Commissioner Abraham, you have a motion to accept the minutes.
I do. I move that the reading of the minutes for the February 28th, 2017 City Commission meeting be waived, and that the minutes of said meetings prepared by Lindsay Parrish, Administrative Assistant 3, in General Government be approved as written.
Second.
City Clerk?
Commissioner Abraham,
Aye.
Commissioner Holland,
Aye.
Commissioner Rhodes,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Mayor Harless.
Aye. All right, we have several board appointments. Oh, yes, Chief Barnhill.
We digress just one.
Adam, absolutely, yes.
I apologize.
Thanks for your
I always
service
slow the
already.
agenda. Yeah. They've already thanked you. You weren't even here. This is Adam Weinberger, as I mentioned, from Benton, Kentucky. Weinberger comes to us from the Murray Police Department with previous experience in the United States Navy for 10 years. And Adam is married to his wife, Andrea, with 2 children.
Great, thank
Bring
you,
him back up
welcome.
and introduce him.
We're happy to have you.
Welcome, man.
We've already
Absolutely.
got him out there putting to work.
Yeah. Thanks. All right, board appointments. Ready for this one? All right, the first one is the Urban Renewal and Community Development Agency. Whereas subject to the approval of the Board of Commissioners, I hereby appoint Carrie Bonner as a member of the Paducah-McCracken County Urban Renewal and Community Development Agency to fill the remaining term of Lenny Powley, who has resigned. This term will expire February 23rd, 2019. Commissioner Holland, you have the motion for that?
I move that the Board of Commissioners approve the action of Mayor Harless in appointing Carrie Bonner as a member of the Paducah-McCracken County Urban Renewal and Community Development Agency.
Second.
Any discussion? City Clerk?
Commissioner Abraham,
Aye.
Commissioner Holland,
Aye.
Commissioner Rhodes,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Mayor Harless.
Aye. All right, next up we have the Brooks Stadium Commission. Whereas subject to the approval of the Board of Commissioners, I hereby reappoint Jimmy Rex Smith and Howard Finley as members of the Brooks Stadium Commission. These terms will expire December 5th, 2020. Commissioner Rhodes, you have the motion for that?
Yes, I do. I move that the Board of Commissioners approve the recommendation of Mayor Harless in reappointing Jimmy Rex Smith and Howard Finley as members to the Brooks Stadium Commission.
Second.
Any discussion?
No discussion. I just like to comment, those guys do a great job on that, on the Brooks Stadium Commission. Any of the ball players, spectators who go out there to take in a ball game is blown away by this immaculate condition the field's in. I think they're putting in some additional pleasantries out there, and so Yeah, as the weather gets better, balls getting slapped around the yard, so it should be another great year.
Yeah. Go Paducah Chiefs.
That's it.
All right. City Clerk?
Commissioner Abraham,
Aye.
Commissioner Holland,
Aye.
Commissioner Rhodes,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Mayor Harless.
Aye. Commissioner Wilson has a motion to accept the R&F documents.
I move that the following documents be received and filed. Notice of cancellation for the Board of Commissioners of the City of Paducah for March 7th, 2017. Certificates of liability insurance for Pinnacle, Inc., A&K Construction, Inc., MAC Construction and Excavating, Inc., Commissioners' deeds for 629 through 631 Finley Street, 621 Boyd Street, and 836 North 7th Street. Contracts and agreements, an agreement between the City of Paducah and the Paducah Police Department Bargaining Unit for 2017-2020, agreement between City of Paducah and the Professional Firefighters of Paducah, Local 168, International Association of Firefighters for 2017 through 2020, professional audit fee proposal agreement with Kemper CPA Group for fiscal year 2017-2020, lease agreement with Community Financial Services Bank for Julian Carroll Convention Center, grant agreement with Delta Regional Authority for CIF matching grant for Pump Station Number 2 rehabilitation project, agreement and notice to proceed with Brim Striping Company, Inc. for pavement marking for 2017-2018, contract with Galls LLC for uniforms for the Paducah Police Department, agreement with Federal Materials for concrete ready mix for 2017-2018, agreement with Danny Cope & Sons for 2017-2018 equipment rental, City of Paducah Downtown Redevelopment Project State and Local TIF Program Analysis and Approval Contract, and the Paducah Waterworks financial highlights for January 2017.
Second.
Great. City Clerk?
Commissioner Abraham,
Aye.
Commissioner Holland,
Aye.
Commissioner Rhodes,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Mayor Harless.
Aye. Commissioner Abraham has a motion to accept personnel actions.
Upon the recommendation of the city manager, the Board of Commissioners of the City of Paducah order that the personnel changes on the attached list be approved.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager. Any questions on personnel actions?
I need a second.
Oh, second.
Nope.
No questions.
No,
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you.
We could not accept.
City Clerk?
Commissioner Abraham,
Aye.
Commissioner Holland,
Aye.
Commissioner Rhodes,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Mayor Harless. Mayor Harless.
Aye. Commissioner Holland has a motion as well. I'm not going to read that all.
I move that a municipal order entitled "A Municipal Order Authorizing the Mayor to Execute a Grant Agreement and All Documents Relating Thereto with the Kentucky Office of Homeland Security for a Law Enforcement Protection Program Grant Award in the amount of $59,402 to be used by the Paducah Police Department be adopted."
Second.
Hello.
Hello again, Mayor and Commission. This was our 2016 LEPP grant award, and it's taken a little over a year to get notification that we were awarded this amount. It's, as mentioned, roughly to replace 65 tasers, the cartridges and the data port that goes along with those. The current units that the officers are carrying are about 10 years old, so it's to replace those that are no longer supported by taser itself.
Any discussion? Any questions? No? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
City Clerk?
Commissioner Abraham,
Aye.
Commissioner Holland,
Aye.
Commissioner Rhodes,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Mayor Harless.
Aye. Commissioner Rhodes, you have the next municipal order.
Yes, ma'am, I do. I move that a municipal order entitled "A Municipal Order Providing for the Closing of High Street between Sherwood Road and Alameda Drive and authorizing the mayor to execute all documents relating to same be adopted."
Second.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor, Commission, City Manager. This is a piece of undeveloped right-of-way that if you're approaching High Street and you're going into Conrad Heights, it takes a real hard turn to the right. In there, this piece of right-of-way we're talking about goes straight off into the I guess, vegetated area or the woods there, and the neighboring properties would like to have that closed so they could have control and maintenance of it and provide some privacy for them. But for example, if it grows up, we'll go in there and we'll cut it, and we'll cut it the way kind of clear cut and where they like it to be more manicured. So they're making an application for this closure for them to maintain it. And we're good with that, and there'll be a water line easement that will be retained in there.
All right, any questions? No, thank you. City Clerk?
Commissioner Abraham,
Aye.
Commissioner Holland,
Aye.
Commissioner Rhodes,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Mayor Harless.
Aye. Commissioner Wilson?
I move that a municipal order entitled, "A Municipal Order of the City of Paducah, Kentucky, approving an agreement between the City of Paducah and the International Association of Firefighters in the amount of $77,000 to conduct the IAFF Fire Ground Survival Train the Trainer course to the Paducah Fire Department firefighters and authorizing the mayor to execute said agreement be adopted."
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioner.
Need a second?
Second.
Good evening.
How are you?
I'm doing well.
Good. This is signing a contract to go ahead and execute the AFG grant, 2015 A&G grant that we passed an ordinance for last September. So let's go ahead and get that started. It's for a train-to-trainer program for fire ground survival.
Great.
Kevin, we anticipate participation from other agencies. Do you have any idea what that number might be?
No, we don't. We were going to make sure that everything was in place before we got started. We will have some openings available to outside agencies so they can put some people in there, also train the trainer. They have to fulfill the needs also under the contract. And in other words, there are some stipulations to the contract that they want you to do it correctly, and they have to make sure that that's done too, and they have to agree to those also. But we'll have several openings available for outside agencies if they'd like to participate.
And I have one question about the train the trainer. So
Yes.
I've done some grants like that before in my other life. And typically that means that you're training a trainer to train someone else.
Right.
Who's the end person?
Right. Our end person is we're doing it for our Paducah firefighters, not only presently in the future. We'll be able to train ourselves in the future. It also comes with a portable prop, a mobile prop on wheels. So years down the line, we'll be able to make sure that our firefighters are safe.
And I've already asked to make sure that portable prop won't require a new garage or anything.
Now,
Good question. Great. Thank you very much. City Clerk?
Commissioner Abraham,
Aye.
Commissioner Holland,
Aye.
Commissioner Rhodes,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Mayor Harless.
Aye. All right, moving into adopting an ordinance. Commissioner Abraham?
I move that the Board of Commissioners adopt an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance of the City of Paducah, Kentucky authorizing and approving an agreement between the City of Paducah and Strand Associates, Inc. for the development of a comprehensive stormwater master plan and authorizing the execution of the agreement." The ordinance is summarized as follows. The City of Paducah hereby approves an agreement with Strand Associates, Inc. for the development of a comprehensive stormwater master plan in an amount not to exceed $790,000 and authorizes the mayor to execute the agreement.
Second.
Great. Any discussion, questions? We had a very lengthy presentation on this one a couple weeks ago. All right, City Clerk?
Commissioner Abraham,
Aye.
Commissioner Holland,
Aye.
Commissioner Rhodes,
Aye.
Commissioner Wilson,
Aye.
Mayor Harless.
Aye. Commissioner Holland?
I move that the Board of Commissioners introduce an ordinance entitled, "An Ordinance Amending Chapter 6 Alcoholic Beverages of the Paducah Code of Ordinances." This ordinance is summarized as follows. The City of Paducah hereby amends Section 6.4 Permissible Operating Hours of Chapter 6 Alcoholic Beverages of the Code of Ordinances to allow on-premise consumption at microbreweries which hold a NQ4 retail malt beverage drink license on Sundays from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. It also provides that microbreweries which hold an NQ retail malt beverage package license to sell on Sundays from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Second.
Any discussion?
Just want to point out that one of the two microbreweries in town currently holds a restaurant license that comes with it the ability to sell beer on Sundays between 11 and 5. So this will enable the other one or any others that come in the future that don't have a restaurant license to apply for this special permit to allow sales on Sunday between the hours of 11 and 5, both on sale and off sale.
Was it just 11 to 5? I thought you said 11 to 10.
11 to 10.
Excuse me, 11 to 10.
Keep them straight.
All right. Any other comments? Discussion?
I think it's great.
Sure, why not?
All right.
Whoa, that was me. Sorry. Sorry.
All right, moving on. Comments from the city manager.
I just want to point out that this is the first agenda where we have actually restructured some items that formerly would have appeared as ordinance into municipal orders. I believe the closing of High Street, actually maybe B, C, and D, might have previously been ordinances requiring 2 reads, so this is a step in the direction of efficiency. We also are considering using a consent agenda, and we would anticipate beginning that in April. The Traffic Commission met last Friday, and you all were sent minutes from that group, and there will be some restrictions placed near some of the entrances to parking lots on the south side of Broadway, east of Lone Oak Road. Not by any means removing all the parking there, but at least opening up sight lines for entrance in and out to the parking areas for the businesses located on the south side of the street.
How soon do you think y'all are going to do those?
Well, we just had our first discussion today about the implementation, and we talked about how it's going to be done, and we really want to use pain and minimize the installation of additional signage there. And Rick, I'm not sure when your folks are going to.
So what you're gonna do is put, come on, you can, right here. So what you're gonna do is put, shrink the amount of people that can park on the street and not let them park all the way to the end of those blocks?
Well, not, basically to open up the turning radiuses so there are at least some sight line. We have people pulling right up to entrances to parking lots and right up to curbs at intersections. So, I mean, safety suggests we need to make that safer.
And actually, Mr. City Manager, after we met today and realizing that we want to move quickly on this, and after the meeting of the Traffic Commission, I've actually marked some things, pre-marked some things in the field to give our people some direction, of which I'd like to, confirm that to make sure that we are there, because once you paint it, we can't get an eraser out. So I want to be sure where our beginning and ending is I guess confirmed with some other folks, the police chief, and say, are we good with this? And then we would initiate painting the curbs yellow where it's necessary.
Is this step is not including the marking of actual parking spots, though, right?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet,
Okay.
because we need a little bit more favor. Actually, this is not favorable weather for painting. I mean, we have moisture in the concrete. Paint doesn't like to stick to wet concrete. We'll do the best we can, because there is some urgency here just because of our growing pains. We need to get something on the grounds for that. But yes, that will be followed up with parking stalls marked, and the way we plan on doing that, we'll actually have a T at the end, but there'll be a line that goes all the way to the curb that gives good definition to the parking areas, and then the end parking areas will have an L, so it's like, okay, park in between here, but don't park beyond these areas here. So yes, we will be putting markings on the pavement that are clear and defined.
How
for
come
the
you're
parking
not
stalls.
doing the signs like on the other side that just say don't park from here to the curb?
We've actually met as a traffic commission. The parking sign itself is a regulatory sign. However, we want to start and go in soft and put the yellow curbs out there to give some definition to that. If we were to put all the signs out there, it's not going to be very attractive. And so we want to try to keep something that's attractive but enforceable. And start soft, and then and see how that works, and then see if there's any adjustments we need to make that we can make in the future.
Do you
Great.
realize that you might actually create a few spaces that you didn't know about? What
We're
I'm saying is that people, if it's unstriped as it now, people just sort of pull up and park. You mind by organizing it,
Well,
not lose as many spaces as you might think.
Well,
It's a good thing.
and Commissioner Rhodes, when we do this, actually what we try to do is see what the limit we have, and maybe it's some oddball dimension, okay? But then a parallel parking space is anywhere from 22 to 26 foot long. Well, the 1972 Cadillac required, a 26 foot long. But the modern car of the day doesn't require that. But, I mean, those are typically standards, and what we'll try to do is we'll take the maximum dimension and we'll try to incremental proportion to that. Maybe we have a 23-foot long one, a 24, 22 and a half. We want to stay within that increment, but make them equal and maximize what we can.
Great. So this is just one step towards us continuing to look at solving these growing pains.
Correct.
Thank you for
They're
jumping
good-
on it. We
They're good,
appreciate
they're
it.
good growing pains.
That's right. Absolutely.
Last thing I want to mention, with respect to the budget, we'll be scheduling the pre-budget workshop as part of a commission meeting at one of the next upcoming meetings. And typically, we share our general fund revenue projections, and we focus on the investment fund and how we see that laying out. And also, we will bring forward, as I've mentioned before, the information of the ranking of projects for consideration for the capital improvement project list. And I want to say that we are expending a fair amount of effort right now trying to focus in and identify a phase one, a revamped phase one, actually a new phase one, because we're new into phases for City Hall that addresses the outstanding safety issues associated with the roof and the overhang, and also addresses some seismic improvement. And lastly, and the thing that's kind of hanging in the balance has to do with the mechanical systems in the building, the heater, boilers, and the chiller, and the impending need to upgrade those systems and how that might fit into a phase one or a phase two. Our lean right now would be to include at least the source equipment replacement in phase one, part of that meaning the actual units that are on the ground in the basement themselves, and not have to concern ourselves in that phase with redoing the ducting or the controls or any of that kind of thing, which, by the way, is a big part of the expense side of that. And also, once done, would and could limit the ability for spatial alterations in the future. So all that having been said, we're anticipating bringing a proposed plan forward for a phase one that would be something probably in excess of $4 million, but we hope to bring with that a financial plan for how to do it in a way that hopefully is going to be as painless as possible. So that's a little bit of a preview of the pre-budget workshop.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
All right. Any comments from commissioners?
Just make one. Today was the announcement from the top 10 community colleges from the Aspen Institute, and WKCT finished in the top 10 for the fourth time. So that was awesome to be out there and see that. Dr. Reese was in D.C. for the announcement. So.
Great. Congratulations to them.
That's good.
Yeah. I did want to make an announcement. On Thursday, March 23rd, the Secretary of State is coming to town at the art school to do a citizen or a civic engagement forum. There's a study that they've done, a civic health study, and they've identified some things that they want to have in a discussion at that forum. So I think it starts at 11 a.m. at the art school, and Secretary Grimes will be here to do that.
Is it March 23rd?
March 23rd. Yeah. Yep. Anything else? We do have one public comment. Susan, are you still here? Would you like to come up, please? Coming from the McCracken County Library. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners and City Manager. I am Susan Byer. I am the Director of the McCracken County Public Library. I've been the Director now for a little over 2 months, and I've been a resident of Paducah for a little over 2 months, and I am thrilled to be here. I've been so welcomed and embraced. I think it's the best career and life decision I've ever made, so.
That's
wonderful.
wonderful.
No hyperbole, absolutely the truth.
That's excellent.
I'm so glad you came. I've been wanting to meet you, so this is so perfect.
Yeah. So periodically, I'd like to come to the meetings and find out about what's going on in our community and let you know a little bit about what's going on at the library. And I have an exciting announcement tonight. Starting April 1st through April 15th, we are having what we're calling Fine Free Amnesty Weeks. And that's when you can bring Does somebody have some overdue books maybe? Because that's when you can bring back your late library books and DVDs, and we will waive the fines. And if you have any outstanding late fees from things you've brought back late in the past, give us a call or stop by, and we will waive them.
I might have some fines. Let's be honest, I might have a couple. It's my kids, it's not my fault.
Well, and you bring up a really great point, because this promotion is for the entire community, but we are particularly interested in making sure that children and teens have access to the library, because we truly believe that a library card is a critical tool in a child's success in school and in life, and we want to remove as many barriers as possible for children and teens accessing our services. So please help us spread the word. We're going to be starting a major publicity push. It's a win-win. We're going to restore people's access to the library, and we're also going to get our stuff back, which is really exciting. I can't wait. I want to have some kind of contest to see what's the oldest item that is returned.
that would be
If something comes back from the Carnegie Library, that would be pretty amazing.
I'm sorry.
I think Alan might have something from that.
No, I just bought a lot of the books from the Friends of the Library.
Oh, we love that too. We love that too.
It is the 1st and the 15th.
1st to the 15th, April 1st through 15th. And also, just as your neighbor, I just wanted to let you know that I would really love a continuing dialogue and conversation about how you think the library can serve this community, what we're doing well, what we can be doing better or differently. I really encourage that kind of feedback and would love to have that ongoing conversation with you.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Your next
Thank you for
contest
being
should be the best thing you've ever found on the pages of a book. I read a very interesting write-up of librarian submissions of what they'd found in a book. Lots of baloney. Like, more than one librarian said they'd found baloney in a book.
Pork products are a theme. I've seen bacon.
Bacon.
As a bookmarker?
Yes.
Yeah.
Cash. People found cash.
Yeah, cash is pretty common.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, cash I can get,
Right,
bologna.
baloney. It was more than one librarian said they found baloney.
That's amazing.
So that can be your next week. Weirdest things you found.
That's an Instagram contest right there. We've got to think of a good hashtag for that.
That is good.
Great. Well, thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
very
stopping
much.
by. We welcome you anytime.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, without further ado, I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All right, all in favor? Aye. All right. Thank you all for being here.